Hey, what's up? Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I have a major color correction and I'm going to be sharing exactly how I tackled this color correction and how you can tackle color corrections yourself. So stay tuned. What's up guys? Thanks for watching this video. I'm so excited to get into this color correction that we have today. It is insane. This is actually one of my old clients that I used to do, and she went to somebody new and you know, things just didn't go as planned. So we're gonna be tackling this color correction, but I want you guys to know that I actually have a color correction video on how to set yourself up for success when it comes to color corrections. I'm gonna link it in the description box below. That's a great video to watch before you even tackle a color correction, and then this one is the actual technique that goes behind it. So I'm excited to dive in. Let's get started. All right, so this is our starting canvas. You guys can see we've got a little bit of bleed marks in there, some spottiness, just some unevenness, kind of all over. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go through, we're gonna highlight her hair, but we're gonna be really, really gentle to make sure that we're not, you know, over lightening sections and just really taking care of the damage in her hair and just fixing her up. So things like this totally happen in real life, you know, with cosmetologists. I've definitely done stuff like this before, so I'm excited to take care of my client and to just get her hair to a really healthy, natural state. Alright, so for her, I'm actually going to be mixing up 2 different developers of lightener. I'm going to start with 30 for her darker hair, and then I'm going to do like a 5 volume for the other one, just because I want to make sure that we're not over lightening anything, but that's going to be for kind of our orangey pieces and any of those like brassy pieces. So we'll start with 30 and then like I said, a 5 or about an 8 volume, and then we might move up to 35 and about a 10 volume when we get up there. But you guys are probably asking me, how do you create a 5 volume? So there's actually 2 ways that you can do this. So this will be our 30 and this will be our 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 10 volume, and what you can do is you can actually just either add a little bit more Olaplex into it, or you could add a little bit of water instead of developer too, because the lightener is going to lift on its own. So sometimes just water is enough of an activation, but for her, because we got a little damage going on, I'm going to use just more Olaplex than I would normally. So normally I would do just about a 1/16 of an ounce. Right here would be about half of this, but instead I'm going to do an 1/8 of an ounce, and that's going to bump our developer and strength down just a little bit more. And for her, I am going to do a little bit of a low light. So I decided to do Colorant 7N from Goldwell. And so just kind of pump some of that in there. And even with her low light formula, I am going to add in Olaplex into this formula just because we might as well treat while we're working. So I am going to put a little bit of Olaplex into this. And the greatest thing about Olaplex is you can add it into any formula you want. Alright, so I always start my highlights kind of in the back and then I work my way forward and then we do the sides. So I'm going to start kind of in her crown area. And this seems to be kind of where it is the worst. You know, you can see there's definitely a little bit of spotting going on. So what we're going to do is, this can seem really stressful and this can seem like overwhelming, but we're just going to take each section by each section and not stress about it too much. And that's the greatest thing about doing foils, is I can really tackle each piece of hair inside each foil. Now the hardest thing that's going to be about doing this is she doesn't have a lot of roots, so we're just going to again tackle each piece by piece and not really worry about it too much. But you guys can see in here, and there's a little bit of shine, so it'd be kind of hard to see, but she's got some warmth kind of in here. She's got some of her additional like low lights and things. So I'm actually going to create this piece. I'm going to start with a low light just because I don't want it to slip or anything. So I'm going to start with a low light just to start off, and then we'll move on to a highlight next. Alright, so now I'm down to my next section, and you guys, I'm kind of doing like finer highlights, a little bit more baby light type stuff, just because I want to be gentle with her hair. And I may weave out some of these low lights that she has, but my biggest thing to tackle is kind of these bleed marks, and we are going to go back in between the foils and do stuff, so it's not a big deal if, you know, we don't get every single hair in the foil. It's more so just to create that new highlight pattern and just to be gentle with it. So I'm going to go in with my 30 volume to start, and I'm just going to kind of tackle her darker hair areas, kind of these low lights, establish kind of that foil, And I'm gonna weave some of these guys out. And the reason why I like using this brush is because it's almost like a weaving comb inside on a brush. This one is from Framart. It's like one of my favorite brushes to use. I absolutely love it. And it allows me to go back in and weave some of these guys out here. So I'm just gonna kind of tackle this. Also being really careful not to, you know, pull through some of that blonde that she has in here. But we don't want there to be now like an additional bleed mark down here at the end. So she's got like a low light that went all the way through. So now we're gonna pull it through. So things like this can be a little bit more challenging. It's obviously gonna take a little bit more time than a normal highlight, but you guys know this is a color correction, so it's gonna take more time, but at the end of the day, it'll be worth it. So I'm just gonna continue down the hair and I'll continue to share with you guys what we're doing. All right, so I have finished the back and now I'm working my way forward. You guys can see I actually do my foils backwards, so I'm kind of one of those weird people that does it backwards, but this is a really good section. We've got a little bit of spottiness in there, some of her old lowlights that are in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna weave this, and I just kind of weave in a very natural pattern. I don't like pick up the same pieces every time. So I'm gonna weave that out, grab my foil, we're gonna lock it into place. And you guys can see we got some old stuff going on. So I'm gonna take my 5 volume first, and I'm gonna apply it to kind of some of this like a little bit of orangey, and this is gonna help protect this hair as I apply my 30 volume. So we're just kind of applying it in there, and now I'm gonna take my 30 volume and apply it kind of to her root area, just kind of tap that in there. And then I'm gonna grab her lowlights that we have, and again, that's why I love this brush, because I can do this. Grab her old lowlight, and I'm just gonna kind of push it down in here. Now, some people might say like, oh, you're overlapping, but I'm really not overlapping on any of this. It's kind of just creating a little space for that little bit of darkness in there, so it's not a big deal, and just kind of doing this. So again, we are using Olaplex just to make sure that we're staying really healthy, but it's not bad. And now we've got that 30 volume in there, we've got that 5 volume in there, and even the reason why I did 5 volume was in case that 30 volume did kind of overlap into that or touch that. It's not going to be a big deal because the 5 volume is kind of protecting it. So we'll lock that foil into place, and then we'll continue on. And I'm going to do probably a low light for this next one. I've been doing for her low lights about 2 to 1, so for every 2 highlights we do a low light, and that's just going to create some dimension back in her hair, because we don't want her to be platinum blonde. So you guys can see we have some old lowlights here, and again, I just kind of weave naturally. I don't pick up the same pieces. Sometimes I will weave out lowlights or highlights, things like that, but this time I'm not really worried about it. So now we're going to take this, and this one's a little bit easier of a section, but we're going to do this as a low light. And sometimes what I'll do too is I'll just pull the low light through to about the mid shaft and kind of feather out the ends, but we are going to pull it all the way through because again, we just want to give her some dimension in there. And you guys can see these sections aren't super thick. They're not going to be chunky low lights. They're going to be rather thin because they're almost like a baby light section. So we're going to continue down her mohawk, and then when we get around to the front, I will share with you guys that. All right, so we have gotten to the front of her hair, and you guys can see we have a little bit of some warmth in here, a little bit more bleed marks on this side. So we're going to be really careful and just paying close attention, but I am going to get her hairline really good. So I'm going to do these little baby hairs, and what I did was I actually took my foils and I folded them in half, or tore them in half. So now I have these little baby foils that I can use around her hairline. So we'll take these little guys, and you guys can see she's got some depth in there. This wasn't touched by lightener or anything before, so we're just gonna go right here, and this is gonna create some really nice little baby lights just around her face so that it grows out really nicely for her. So we'll fold this guy, and the reason why I like using small foils like this is it just helps me get in there nice and tight. I don't have a huge foil we're folding up. So that'll be our little corner there. And I'm actually gonna do probably one in here just because we've got some of this funkiness going on. So I want you guys to know too, when I'm doing highlights like this, especially when it comes to color corrections, is I'm customizing this for every client. Every client's hairline's a little bit different, everything's a little bit unique, so we're gonna take each situation and just kind of customize it to each client. No 2 hairlines are the same. So here you guys can see we've got some warmth in here, and then we've got some old low lights. So I'm going to show you guys a little trick that what I do too. So going in with my 30 volume just to kind of tackle that root area, and obviously we want to tackle some of this low light. So I'm going to weave it out with my brush here, and I'm going to take that little baby foil again, and I'm going to put it up in here. I'm going to take it and I'm actually going to put it down, and so you guys can see now I've separated out that low light, and I can fully paint that low light in here and not feel like I have to worry about it touching all that other stuff. Now we're just gonna fold this foil like we normally would, and we're good to go. All right, so now we're around her hairline. Now this has already been lightened pretty darn good, so I'm just gonna take some baby lowlights, or baby highlights, and get them up in here. Nothing too crazy. Okay, so we've got a little bit of depth in there, so I'm just gonna kind of baby light this right around her face. And I do use a regular size foil for this, but obviously we're being gentle because she had just recently gotten this lightened. So like, we don't even need to apply lightener kind of right in there. So just kind of more at this little bottom corner here where she's got the depth. Maybe just a smidge right there. A little bit right in there. And that's it. And I'm gonna do some diagonal backs, work my way back, and then we're gonna kind of come down this way. All right, so I ended up mixing up some Goldwell colorants 7NA and 7N, and I'm actually gonna go through in between her foils, and I'm gonna apply it to kind of her root area. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna kind of get rid of a lot of this warmth that we have in there, and it's just gonna blend everything together. So I'm just gonna go through, kind of apply it in there, and we're just gonna drag it down about maybe 2-3 inches. And again, this is just gonna get rid of any of those bleed marks that she has left over that we didn't catch in a foil, and just really drag down her natural color in between that, get rid of that warm band. All right, so we just finished applying all of our foils. We went through and did that base in between. You guys can see we have some in there, it's processing. We're gonna pull out foils when they are ready, and we're just gonna let her process. Okay, so we just finished rinsing her out. I did do Olaplex number 2 on her for about 10-15 minutes just to let it, you know, get in there really good. But you guys can see it already looks amazing. So what I am gonna do, I'm gonna do a slight, tiny toner on here. Her root shadow that we did kind of in between the foils did tone it a little bit because there was some of that 7NA, but there's just a smidge bit of warmth in there. So what I'm gonna do is I mixed up Colorants 10P and 9N, and I'm just gonna kind of apply it to this kind of root area, and it's not going to be a shadow root, but it's just going to be a slight bit of a toner. So we're just going to apply that through and let that process just for a few minutes. And guys, I'm applying this without gloves. You know, use gloves. Don't do what I do. Alright, so I'm going to use the Color Care shampoo on her, and we're going to shampoo her, and then I'm going to do the Color Care Acidic Milk Rinse, and this is going to help close down the pH of her hair and really just make it really healthy, shiny. It's going to help us comb it out too because she has that little bit of damage, but it's really going to make a huge difference. So we'll shampoo her and then we'll put that in. Alright, so now I'm going to put on the Color Care Acidic Milk Rinse. As you can see, I'm going to apply this pretty generously to her hair. I love this product because it actually goes through the hair really well, but we'll apply it pretty generously, and then I just kind of use my fingers to kind of break it into that hair, but you guys can see that it's already like detangling her hair, and it's really going to be a huge difference in how her hair feels and just how it does over time. But this is going to help make this color last. The toners we put in, that root shadow color we put in to kind of cover up those bleed marks, but it's also going to make it super soft and shiny, and it's going to make a huge difference. This would be a go-to for any color correction I have. Alrighty, so here's our final result. You guys, it looks so good. It looks so blended, and it actually feels really healthy. She had done a great job of maintaining it with Olaplex and some Joico K-Pack in between, but it feels really good. You guys can see how blended it looks. And that root shadow in between the foils really helped us blend everything out, get rid of some of that bleed marks and any of those like warm tones in there. But you guys can see it just is really beautiful, and I'm really happy with how it turned out and how it feels. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful for you, and remember, I have that other color correction video on how to set yourself up for success when it comes to color corrections before the client even walks in the door. That's in the description box below. You're not gonna wanna miss that one too. And I hope that you guys learned something from this video. Leave it in the comment box below what your favorite thing was from this video and one technique that you're gonna take back to the salon as you move forward. As always, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. I'm sharing lots of videos about my techniques that I use in the salon, plus tons of business advice and techniques too. Thanks again for watching this video, and I can't wait to hear from you guys in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.